It could lead to a full-blown trade war, but I think you're right that it's more likely turbulence, not terrorism, turbulence.
Yes, it's just turbulence.
But
Yes.
big difference there. Sorry, early in the morning here. But I will say that there are economists who do believe that this will have a beneficial effect on the U.S. economy. I don't happen to be one of them. I regard tariffs as taxes, and I think that taxes take money out of the private sector and put it into the public sector where it's wasted and not invested. So I'm not a fan, but I'm more of a skeptic, and I'm certainly willing to see if this works or not. There are a number of countries. China is particularly open to criticism, not just because of their tariffs on U.S. goods, but because of the trade barriers, which the president also talked about, and are somehow part of his calculation of what the tariff rates will be. The trade barriers that are imposed on U.S. companies that want to do business with China or in China. Surrendering intellectual property, surrendering proprietary information, kinds of workers they have to hire. I mean, there are all kinds of barriers, and those barriers are not economically good. I mean, free trade is foundational to global prosperity, and I think there is widespread agreement on that point. But I think, as in many things with Mr. Trump, this is a high risk negotiation that he is starting because the current global trade regime is not fair to American consumers
Yeah, but as you
and
said, sir,
American.
it's high risk. You talked about like trade wars and the idea of appropriation of certain products. We had an issue years back related to the microchips issue when America and China were having a bit of an economic spat, I suppose. It halted a lot of industries, including the car industry. Do you think this is also possible? I mean, people can be stubborn, or governments
Well,
can be
it's
stubborn.
certainly possible again, but all the chips now most of the chips come from Taiwan. And unfortunately, the government response here in the United States, which was the CHIPS Act, was supposedly to divert um, billions from the private sector to the public sector so it could be given back to the private sector to stimulate chip production, failed miserably. The government solution is always something one needs to be suspicious of. Much rather have free markets settle differences. Now, unfortunately, tariffs are one of those things that the free market can't settle because that's a government to government issue, and governments impose tariffs. And if tariffs don't work, the Republicans will suffer politically. They will probably lose control of the House of Representatives in the next election, maybe the Senate, although that's less likely given who's up and where. But if they lose control of the House, then you'll get legislation to repeal the tariffs. It is shocking to me the way that the Democratic Party has abandoned its 50-year post-war history of protectionism and support for organized labor in its tough talk on free trade now. The Democrats are now advocating for free trade as opposed to protectionism. That is a seismic shift here in the U.S. political model. And we'll see how that plays out as well. But it represents the changes in the coalitions that came together in support of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in the last presidential election. The high net worth, college educated, postgraduate, urban voter who used to be a Republican has moved left and is now voting Democrat. And so while they support liberal social policies, on economics, they believe in lower taxes and high and lower tariffs. It really is a disruptive change that is going to take time to process through the American political system.